Premier Boxing Champions now features 10 rounds in the heavyweight division. The three judges ringside are Carlo Cais, John McCarthy, and Fernando Villarreal. And the referee in charge when the bell sounds, Wayne Hedgepath. Introducing first, fighting out of the red corner, wearing the black with the silver trim. His professional record, 42 wins, 23 of those coming by way of knockout against 4 losses. Fighting out of the city of brotherly love, Philadelphia, PA. He is a former title challenger, Fast Eddie Chambers. And across the ring, his opponent fighting out of the blue corner, wearing the whites with the red and the gold trim. As a professional, undefeated, 16 wins, no losses, 1 draw, including 11 victories coming by way of KO. Fighting out of Vallejo, California. He is the former USC Trojan and member of the United States Navy, Gerald El Gallo Negro, Washington.
This is an 8-round fight out of the heavyweight division. Gerald Washington, 16-0-1 with 11 knockouts, taking on the veteran Eddie Chambers, 42-2. And he's fought some big-time fighters, Alexander Povetkin, Vladimir Klitschko. Chambers looking to establish his jab against Washington. Round 1 scheduled for 8. And you must be familiar with Fast Eddie out of the Pennsylvania area.
Yeah, I actually used to go to Champs Gym and see him all the time there when I was a kid, hitting the pads, sparring and stuff like that. So I knew Eddie for a long time. He was a good fighter, fast heavyweight. And let's see if he can pull through tonight.
Washington says he doesn't fight off his physical advantages and strength, but rather he's a thinking fighter. Big man, 6'6".
There's a Y stands for a heavyweight.
He's got that football body. Defensive end, tight end, outside linebacker. Played football at SC. He's one of the latest guys to conduct experiment in sports. Can a guy come to boxing late and compete as a heavyweight?
I think so. You know, he has no punishment in his body. He can have a long career.
But it begs the question, are fighters born or are they made?
I believe fighters are made champions, you know. I believe it's just the hard work you put in the gym that makes you the best fighter.
Chambers with so much experience fighting taller fighters.
It ain't about looking the part, it's about being a fighter. Danny, you've been in that ring for so long. Think of what that training has done to you. It's almost instinctive what you do now. Can you come to the sport late and be a real fighter?
I think you can. I think you can. As long as you dedicate yourself, you know, work hard every day and listen to your coach and stay disciplined, you know, you can go a long way because the body has no punishment. He has no, I don't know about his amateur background, but usually when a lot of fighters have a lot of amateur fights, they have a short pro career because they have so much punishment on their body already.
To me, the guy who's done it most successfully, and I still don't think he gets enough credit, is Deontay Wilder.
Yeah, no doubt. A lot of fighters, Bernard Hopkins, Nate Campbell, all these guys started their career late, became unified world champions.
Is a fighter different than an athlete? That's, I think, at the core of the question.
No, I think it's a difference, yeah, because I think the best champions are athletic. You know, when you're athletic, you're a little more agile, more loose, and you have better reflexes.
Now Washington jabbing at the body, trying to use his reach.
How about Fast Eddie winking?
Fast Eddie winking his mind. He has to stay focused, man. It's a big guy in there in front of him.
Chambers knows a solid win over a guy like Washington puts him back at the top level and in conversation for big money. He wants to fight the likes of Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder. Wilder getting ready to go to Russia to put his title on the line. Fast Eddie Chambers in the black, taking on Gerald Washington in the white. Second round scheduled for 8 in the heavyweight division. Gerald Washington, his nickname is El Gallo Negro, Spanish for the Black Rooster. His mother is Mexican, his father is African American. He's fluent in Spanish. Went to school in Mexico when he was 13. But he's inexperienced. Only 17 fights, 66 rounds as a pro compared to Chambers' 291.
I've never been to a Rooster fight, but I watched it online, and those things can fight.
Chambers has been in, losing to both Klitschko and Povetkin. The edge and experience is vast.
Washington keeping that left hand really low. Chambers would love nothing more than to come over the top with the right hand. Look at that left hand for Washington. He's keeping it all the way down.
Yeah, I think he can set that up with a jab to the body and then throw overhand right to blind.
For the bigger guy, he's not too aggressive. And that stance is very wide. I get a sense he just doesn't want to let go of that right hand. I don't know what he's got in there. There's one.
A lot of fighters are gun shy because they don't want to get countered and get hurt in between the exchange.
Chambers a little soft in the middle. There's that big looping right hand.
Started with a jab to the body, just like I just said.
Fast Eddie is stalking the bigger man.
Something to keep in mind. Washington with his mouth open already in the second round. He's got a lot of muscles, and quite often the more muscle-bound guys get tired quickly.
Yeah, he has a wide stance, and he's not loose. He's like a strong big guy. Chambers is the smaller guy, faster guy, but I think Washington's legs are so wide that it takes your power away. He has to close the middle a little bit, sit down on his punches, and try to get the knockout like a big guy.
Looks like the guy's been lifting a lot of weights, right?
Yeah, no doubt.
Eddie means business with that overhand right.
Washington's last fight, October of 2015, a draw with Amir Mansour in D.C. He felt he won the fight.
We saw Mansour on the last card. A very courageous, game fighter. Broke his jaw. That's what kept him out of the last fight. Third round.
Gerald Washington, 6'6", 34 years old. Fighting 34-year-old Eddie Chambers. Chambers, the more experienced fighter.
I think Chambers needs to start using that experience and start setting some traps, setting Washington up to land some big shots.
He's another guy who wants a second chance. He figures a win here can get him a fight against someone like Wilder or Anthony Joshua.
Chambers' team has described him as a modern-day Jimmy Young, the heavyweight fighter from Philly during the 70s who beat George Foreman and had a disputed decision with Muhammad Ali.
That's going back, but I'm not sure.
Philly fighters, some of the best in the planet.
I think Jimmy Young might be able to beat Gerald Washington now. I don't know.
Joe Frazier, Sonny Liston, Bernard Hopkins, Danny Garcia, all great Philly champions. And ironically, Danny, all those great champions, and you have a statue of Sylvester Stallone as Rocky as the centerpiece of your city. Ridiculous.
There's one now. There's the Joe Frazier statue now.
I think he's advocating for Danny Garcia's statue.
Wells Fargo Center.
Soon.
Now, here's the smaller man pressing the action, pushing Gerald Washington backward. He's a bigger guy. You can't see ground like that, can you?
Yeah, he has to. Eddie Chambers has to get close, man. He has to back his opponent up. He tries to box a lot for a heavyweight and tries to use his speed, but the guy's laying bigger, stronger shots and make it seem like he's always a foot behind. So he has to step to his opponent, put his combinations together, and start landing these punches because he's not a big puncher, so he has to throw a lot of punches to win rounds.
I think Chambers is waiting for Washington to tire. As you take a look as this fight continues, Washington's hands both now continuing to drop. And that could cost him.
He's waiting for Washington to tire. He's waiting for that overhand right.
Chambers walks him down, closes the distance. He will be able to land some big shots, but he's a little too far out, and he lets Washington get out of there just like that. So he walks in, but Washington just steps around.
Chambers keeps winking. When you see a fighter wink, are you worried, or is he or you think he's trying to make friends with you?
I don't know. I guess he's just trying to let Washington know that he's not hurt, or he's not worried, I guess, by his power or his size. So
Chambers has not been active, however. There's a left hook getting through.
See, he stepped in with that shot. That's the key. He has to step in to land those short shots.
And the right hand connecting as the bell ends the third round.
It's been a knockout fest. I'd like to see the heavyweights keep up their end of the bargain, fellas.
No doubt. That's what the fans like to see, knockouts.
Fourth round, scheduled for 8 in the heavyweight division.
Especially the heavyweights. That's what made the heavyweight division so popular. When it was one of the hottest divisions in the sport was knockouts.
Chambers so relaxed in the black trunks against Gerald Washington, 16-0-1 with 11 knockouts, 34 years old.
His mouth is open.
It's only an 8-round fight, so Chambers has to get busy. He can't just continue to wait and give away rounds, because by the time he steps on the gas, it's going to be too late. So he has to start putting his punches together, let him go for 4 more rounds to try to win this fight.
It's a good point, Danny. It's not just in the fight, it's in his career. We saw a guy come back tonight in Andre Berto and give himself a new prime. If Eddie Chambers wants a shot at the champion, he's got to get busy.
Yeah, he has to go out there and get the job done. Right now, Washington just controlling the outside, avoiding punches, and controlling the fight.
Washington using his reach. That 6'6" frame, jabbing to Chambers' body.
That's a good shot, that jab to the body. Can knock the air out of you. And it sets up a lot of punches, like the hook upstairs and the overhand right, or the straight right hand.
One thing you like about Washington, he's not expending too much energy.
Because Eddie Chambers isn't making him expend energy.
That's a good right hook to the body right there by Washington. He's starting to go invest in the body a little bit this round. That's good. You always want to see that.
Fans not happy with the inactivity from Eddie Chambers.
Especially after the kind of fights we've seen tonight.
Now Chambers trying to go downstairs. Washington stepping off.
Danny, Washington has a 7-inch reach advantage. What should he be doing now?
I think he's doing a good job of just stepping around, using his legs, using his jab. I like how he goes to the body a little bit. You see how he just threw that right? He just threw the right hook upstairs and stepped around. He steps it back. Chambers can't get him. He's controlling the distance, mentally and physically. I mean, this game's all mental. You got to believe you can do it. If Chambers don't believe he can get in there and throw a lot of punches, then Washington's just going to cruise to the finish line.
Nice right hand. To me, he's letting Washington feel more and more confident, feel like more and more of a fighter, as if he belongs here, as if he's the real contender.
Chambers just landed a good short left hook on the ropes. But he has to throw more than one punch. He has to put them together.
Fifth round. All right, let's take a look at the punch stats in this fight. Washington, Chambers. Washington throwing and landing more. Eddie Chambers not as active as we've seen him in the past.
Yeah, this Chambers' only chance to win in this fight is just outworking his opponent, and you can't let the bigger guy outwork him. When you're the smaller guy, you should be the faster guy, be able to let your hands go and throw more combinations. You can't let that bigger guy outwork you.
He's been outworked for 5 rounds at this point. You know, he's going to need something pretty close to a knockout.
You know, if he keeps going this way, he's going to need a knockout, and we don't know because
that's a nice right hand by Washington. Backs up Chambers.
Washington's using his jab to control the distance and finally finding that right hand.
Yeah, Chambers can't rely on the knockout because he's not a big puncher. He has to let his hands go and put them together.
You think about a shorter fighter, heavyweight fighter like a Joe Frazier, and how active he would be against the bigger Gerald Washington. It's what made him brilliant during his career.
And throw some power punches too.
Digging to the body, hands down from Washington.
Joe Frazier was a big puncher, so you know it's hard to compare the two. He had a lot of head movement, throw that left hook, and I think that's what Chambers had to do. He has to walk to him, move his head, and try to land those big looping shots with left hooks and right hands.
We just saw Chambers' most active 10 or 12 seconds of the round, and then he stopped. He's not just giving away rounds at this point. He's giving away years. He wants to have another career. Hey, then make him move.
Giving away money.
Especially in this wide open heavyweight division.
1 minute remaining in the 5th round.
Nice right hand by Chambers.
There you go. He has to put his punches together. He can't just throw one punch at a time. He can't let Washington control the pace of the fight. Washington, give him a lot of credit. He is controlling this fight with his jab and his footwork. He's doing a great job.
It seems to me he found the distance. He found a way to control this with his jab, and he's working in those right hands.
And he's comfortable right now. He's doing what he wants in there.
Right hand blocked. And Chambers' corner begging him to let his hands go.
I'm not sure he has the firepower to close the gap.
I think mentally he knows he's not a big puncher, so he doesn't want to open up and get caught himself with the counter shot.
Closing moments of the round. Gerald Washington cruising now.
Man, they had to fire him up. They had to wake him up, man. Tell him, wake up, get up. Let's go out there and get this job done. You gotta start putting your punches together. You gotta be hungry, man. You gotta go out there like a lion, and and eat the prey. You can't continue.
Yeah.
You have to be fired up, man. You gotta act like this is the biggest fight of your career. You gotta go out there and try to knock this guy out.
Stop winking, stop smiling, stop clowning.
Yeah, I mean,
throw some punches,
stop
man.
posing for the camera. Go out there and get the job done. This is a fight.
8 rounds of the heavyweight division. We are in round number 6 between Gerald Washington in the white trunks and Eddie Chambers in black.
In one fight, my dad slapped me and woke me up. So you gotta do what you gotta do to wake your fighter up.
Now Chambers a little bit more active as we start the 6th.
Seems like Washington's doing most of the slapping in this fight.
We haven't seen Washington sit down on his punches. Now Chambers with the left hook gets through.
Combination. That was a combination. That's what got to punch through. Washington comes back with his own combination.
Eddie's trying to get him to throw a lot of punches, put his hands down.
Chambers, it seems as at times, guys, and I don't know if I'm correct here, it seems as if Chambers is playing to the crowd more than he's trying to focus on his opponent.
I agree with you. But I do think Washington's beginning to accommodate him. Those hands are getting lower and lower and lower.
Chambers going that right hand to the body. Washington punches very slow now. Hands all the way at his waist.
He's cooperating with him, isn't he, Danny, by lowering those hands, by dropping those hands.
Yeah, he's giving Chambers the home run shot. You have to be careful, you have to be disciplined, but I think he's controlling. I think he felt Chambers' power, and I think he knows that Chambers can't hurt him, so he's pretty confident right now.
Chambers and his camp surprised that Washington took this fight.
Judging from what we've seen, why not? Why would he?
guess his camp thought that Chambers had more experience and he was going to school him, but you know, Washington controlling the pace here and doing what he wants in there.
Washington is an older fighter. He needs the experience. He needs the name on his resume. If he's going to make a run as a contender, if he's going to get into this mix, then he needs someone like Eddie Chambers on his victim list. I like that right to the body.
Yeah, that right to the body is a real good shot.
That is the end of the round.
Keep it clean, both.
Eddie Chambers, Gerald Washington, 7th round scheduled for 8 heavyweights. And the power punch stats. Let's take a look. Champ, what do you see?
Washington throwing more, you know, landing more, outworking Chambers. Chambers has to pick it up, man, because, you know, he's letting the bigger guy control the fight. And like I said, his key to this fight is value. He has to let his hands go. You know, he's not, and I'll credit to Washington. You know, he's controlling the fight.
Now Washington changing to southpaw.
I don't know if that's a good idea. If you're controlling the fight,
by Eddie.
if you're controlling the whole fight in the right-hand stance, why would you change the southpaw? He got hit with a good shot and switched right back.
There's that right hook to the body that's been effective for Washington tonight.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Right now, you got to wonder if Chambers has what it takes in terms of power punches to take this guy out. 44 fights, 23 knockouts. I don't like those odds.
And you get a lot of knockouts in the beginning of your career, too, when you're knocking out opponents you're supposed to knock out. When you step up competition, that's when the knockouts slow down a little bit.
Fans a little restless with the inactivity from the two big men.
They've been seeing knockouts all night, so they want to see another knockout. But sometimes you got to appreciate good boxing. And Washington's controlling the pace and outboxing his opponent tonight.
Tripling up the jab, Gerald Washington. Fighting off his back foot the whole round, so the big man showing his fluid nature. Although his punches mostly slaps, would you say, Danny?
Yeah, I think he could commit a little more, turn his shots a little more force, a little more power, to be more explosive. You know, people like that explosion. They like to see explosion in fighters and knockouts.
Part of it is if he's moving backward.
Yeah, it's hard to get knockouts when you're moving backwards unless you set a trap and you're counting your opponent to lower him in, to land a big counter shot. But here he's just outboxing his opponent, outpointing them. I think he's just happy to win on points.
I got to give him credit for a converted football player. Looks like a fighter.
He's doing a great job, man. He's controlling the fight. He's doing what he wants in there. You know, he got his hands low, making Chambers miss. Backing up, moving forward when he wants to, landing him straight punches just like that.
Maybe you can learn killer instinct.
He has to commit to those punches, though. If he commits to his punches, you never know. He could probably score, you know, a knockdown or maybe a knockout.
And that's the end of the 7th round. 1 round remaining for Gerald Washington, who has been in complete control of this fight against his veteran opponent, Eddie Chambers. Remaining, though, Eddie Chambers still has a puncher's chance. He hasn't been free with his hands in the first 7 rounds.
We've had very definitive endings this evening. It would be a shame for this one to be ambiguous, be unsettled, be questioned.
4 knockouts tonight, seen here on Fox with the headliner Andre Berto redeeming himself against Victor Ortiz with one of the most electric knockouts you'll see against the southpaw Berto with the firebolt of a right uppercut.
Washington looks more comfortable than he did at the beginning of the fight, just before he threw 2 right hands.
Washington looks like he's going for a knockout.
He's measuring him. He looks more comfortable now.
man, his hands go with more authority.
Eddie Chambers, what a record, 42-2. He said it has been hard to get consistent opponents due to the risk reward of himself as an opponent.
Obviously, at 34 years old, Gerald Washington is willing to take that risk. He knows that he doesn't have that much time if he wants to make some noise in this sport. He wants to really make a name for himself.
He seems like he has a fresh body, so I think the age is not a problem. He's not worn out. He doesn't have a huge amateur background, so his body doesn't have a lot of punishment. It's kind of fresh.
Hands all the way down now for Gerald Washington as he just tries to move around.
How many football players and ex-football players are watching this right now saying, I can do what Washington's doing?
That's right.
You know?
It looks a lot easier than what it is, though. I'll tell you that much. Mike Tyson said it best. Everybody wants to be a boxer until they get punched in the mouth.
Everyone wants some heavyweight paychecks. Everyone wants to take the heavyweight punch. I think it's important for Washington to finish strong.
Yeah, no doubt. Let's stay off them ropes. I think Washington's height bothered Eddie this fight. He didn't get as close as he wanted to because, you know, Washington's height, and I guess he felt his power a little bit.
Even more the length. You know, 7 inches, that's a lot. And as good a boxer as Chambers is, he could never solve that distance.
And that is the end of the 8th and final round. Gerald Washington should feel very positive about his performance. Different story for Eddie Chambers.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 8 rounds, we go to the scorecards. Here are your score totals. Judge at ringside, Fernando Villarreal, scores the contest 79-73. And judges Ray Corona and Kermit Bayless see them about identical 80-72. All for your winner by unanimous decision, Gerald El Gallo Negro Washington.
So Gerald Washington improves his record to 17-0-1 with a unanimous decision over Eddie Chambers. What a night of boxing here at the StubHub Center.